last time we talked about Fallout 76, we just saw the worst hack to ever affect that game go live. A hack allowing any random person on a server to selectively steal other players' entire inventories. All the while, there was really nothing they could do to prevent it. Fortunately, Bethesda was pretty quick to address this after the public or plug-and-play version of this hack went live. It only took them about 24 hours to fix it. It's not clear how many players were affected in that time span, but it seems likely it's somewhere in the hundreds. You could find many users reporting losing a lot of their valuables. In this video, I want to talk somewhat about the aftermath of that, some misconceptions or misinformation around the hackers, and why this is actually a fairly large problem and some people may not realize it. But separately, there's also been some discussion around a recent article posted by Bethesda, them downplaying some of the problems around Fallout 76, and I definitely think there's some things to discuss with that. One of the first things I want to do is clear up misinformation. I've seen a lot of people making false claims having to do with some of the videos shared around this. This video is basically the one everyone was referencing, saying it came directly from the hackers themselves, from a wrecked band, the user creating some of these hacks. But in reality, the person to create this video was actually somebody who saw the discussion around this, that this hack was coming, tried to figure out how to do it, and then successfully did so. Before this video was shared around everywhere, there was a full post and write-up sent to Bethesda on how to do it and how it could be fixed. That video was then shared to raise awareness that yes, this is a very legitimate issue that is concerning, and in my video I had the same user recreate that for me. So as I mentioned in my original video, even though Bethesda was quick to respond once the hack went live in roughly under 24 hours, they didn't just learn about it for the first time then. Again, a full write-up was sent to them about 3 days prior. Now, separate from this, one of the other big questions I had around this was to do with bans and player item recovery, as thus far it really doesn't seem like anything has happened in regard to either of those. If you were one of the users that lost all of your items, you were instructed to contact support, and it seems like at least every case I've seen of this, those users are now just waiting for a response from support, or support did respond saying they're trying to figure out how they're going to resolve this, which is actually kind of unfortunate. This all happened right before the holiday break. Now, if you wanted to play Fallout 76 on the holiday, it would be kind of a big disincentive if you just lost all of your items. Now, of course, to some degree, this is understandable. We just had a major holiday. They may still be trying to figure out what exactly is possible to refund or return all of these players' items. But what I feel like is a bit of a larger issue, because it has been actually kind of a persistent one, is the hackers. At least as of right now, it seems like the people, or the vast majority of people, to abuse this hack haven't been banned. They're still actively playing Fallout 4 with no real punishment, to the degree that even the items that were stolen seem to still be on their accounts. It's not like those have been removed, and if they haven't lost access to the accounts, they just have all those items now for free. Bans are likely to come, but there's a few consequences or byproducts of this delay in action from Bethesda. Since users are still sitting on all of these typically pretty valuable items, I mean, if you have it on your character, if you're actively using it, it typically is some of your best stuff. Those items are now being distributed through Fallout 76's in-game economy. So if Bethesda does do kind of a figurative snap of their fingers, deletes all of those stolen items, some legit players could just lose an item they really paid for, really traded for. Separately, at least to some degree, it definitely seems like some of these have made it on to the for money markets, things like eBay and other websites where people sell Fallout 76 items. This has been a fairly major market for this game, and there have been tens of thousands of dollars made off of this. And although it's hard to pinpoint things exactly to say, yes, that is a stolen item, it definitely seems like that has occurred somewhat, and there have been some discussions around that in private communities of people stealing items, then selling them. But I think the core problem of this all comes down to a lack of action by Bethesda. Fallout 76 has had persistent hacking or exploit problems for a while now. I've talked about it in numerous videos over the past few months, and really about a year. But the thing is, for the past 6 months or so, much of the time when I'm talking about certain hackers in this game, or dupers, exploiters, cheaters, whatever it may be, there's actually only a few groups of people that are just being very persistent with this, that are consistently abusing hacks or dupes in this game. Sometimes their main account will get banned. It seems like a decent chunk of the time it's only a temp ban, so they'll come back and continue doing it. Other times it's a permaban, but there are certain websites where you can get Fallout 76 accounts for a couple of dollars, relatively cheap, and they'll just buy a new account and continue on that new one. I don't know an exact number of hackers out there, but as much attention as this all has gotten, again, there's only a few individuals doing this stuff, a couple of select groups that are consistently abusing that aspect of this game. Now, I don't know exactly what the solution to this is, but when there are people consistently hacking, in particular with the Battle Royale mode, and consistently getting limited time and not permanent bans, to me that seems like a major problem. At nighttime, on weekends, and sometimes on weekdays, you can consistently find hackers in this mode, and it's to the point where they're just known names. Something like, oh, it's username so-and-so, so this is going to be a crappy match because they're going to be hacking during it, and it does kind of give you a little bit less incentive to try. I don't know exactly what the solution to this is, whether it be hardware or IP bans, but it certainly seems like Bethesda needs a more permanent one, because this hacking or exploiting problem probably won't be going away. They have definitely gotten quicker at responding to it, but there will be new and additional hacks. These same users will try things again. Take for example just the one user who actually published the very popular inventory stealing hack. In this video, he steals from tens of people. If you look on his channel, you can find months of him just doing questionable things in Fallout 76. In particular, I found this clip to be the most bothersome.
No, I just see you've been insulted. No, please, dude, don't scam me. Why are you doing this? I thought we were... I thought... You're scamming me? I was gonna give the things to my dad. So many hours for that armor.
This is likely somebody who should be banned from the game with something a little bit more concrete than just a typical account ban. Separate from that, there's actually been a lot of discussion and claims around another or still existing inventory steal hack, that although Bethesda patched out this method, there's an alternate one that still can be done. As far as I know, or as far as I've seen, that is not the case. There isn't an alternate method, or at least some of these more private communities don't actually know of an alternate method. It's just fear-mongering, trying to stir the pot and get people worried. But separate from this, Bethesda actually caught quite a bit of flack or backlash around their recent article for Fallout 76. This is coming out a day after Christmas, titled A Look Back at Fallout 76 in 2019. And the gist of this is it discusses some of the major feats or accomplishments by Bethesda with the game, the cool new updates, the major feature additions that we did receive, and that all is fine, highlighting some of the good stuff, but I think what bothered many people was one of the initial paragraphs of this one. As it does read, it goes without saying that we had some rocky times this year. But the entire BGS team, working closely with you, not only addressed thousands of issues, but added meaningful improvements to quality of life. At the end of 2019, Fallout 76 is bigger, more stable, and more fun than ever before. We're really proud of how far we've come together and how you, the community, have taken the game and truly made it your own, creating amazing subplots, characters, and bizarre and hilarious adventures of your own devise. And then from there, it really is more so than anything else just a summary of what has been added in 2019. So initially when I saw this article, I didn't think too much about it, but after reading that and getting a little bit of extra context around the article overall, I could see why this would bother some people. I think there's really two ways of looking at this. On one hand, this is probably just meant as an advertisement. It's meant to share some of the premier aspects or changes that came to Fallout 76 in 2019 that were intended and added by Bethesda, written over the holiday season while a ton of stuff goes on sale, people have extra spending money, and I think Bethesda was probably hoping maybe somebody that passed on the game in the past or saw some of the initial controversy or backlash would see this article now at the end of 2019 and be like, hey, that sounds really good. And it does. It definitely sounds really good, but in my eyes it sounds almost too good. Reading that initial paragraph of the article, and really the article throughout, it makes it sound like Fallout 76 is in this perfect state and a mostly fixed or great game now. Has the game improved since launch? Yes. Has the game had numerous issues since launch, and actually some of them literally just last week? Yes, that's also true. And yet in this, Bethesda only for a small second really addresses that, saying it goes without saying that we had some rocky times this year. And what I think actually made this feel a little bit worse, or to me made it seem a little bit worse overall, is if you actually read a similar thing that was posted for the Elder Scrolls Blades, the other active in development but live Bethesda Game Studios title. This is more of an article kind of briefly rehashing part of the year, but also looking forward. The first paragraph of this one reading, Blades has had an incredible journey so far in the short 9 months since early access began. From our first update at E3 2019, which added jewelry and new voiceovers, to our biggest update yet earlier this month. We've been able to evolve the game thanks to the essential feedback from you, the players. Throughout Blades' first year, your feedback has been integral to helping us make improvements such as the removal of chest timers in Update 1.5. We're thrilled at the positive response to that update, and with your help, we're looking forward to making continual improvements to the game in 2020. If you have feedback, we want to hear it. Reach out to us on Twitter or the customer support portal here. Now, I would argue, loosely following The Elder Scrolls Blades and heavily following Fallout 76, Fallout 76 had way more problems this year. Blades definitely had its own fair share of issues, but after reading both of these, it really makes Fallout 76 seem like this perfect game, while Blades is still very much so actively in development with several improvements on the way. And I feel like if they went more the Elder Scrolls Blades approach with the Fallout 76 one, thanking the community, saying, yes, we're still listening, we still know we have a lot to improve on and actually develop, this article wouldn't have been nearly as criticized as it was. Also, one of the other things that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way about it is they just didn't mention Fallout First or any of the utility item additions, despite those apparently being massively requested by the community or a response to community feedback. It did feel fairly deliberate that they didn't include them, although granted, they didn't include any other additions to the Atomic Shop either. And really, at its core, I think one of the problems with this is, well, actually several. One, this is an ad, it's not a dev update. Bethesda has their weekly Inside the Vault series. I don't think technically this is an entry in that. Typically, from that, we're getting words from devs or community managers that are talking to devs. This really isn't that, or I don't think it's intended to be that, but a lot of people are kind of categorizing it in a similar function, because that's really the only articles we get. But separately, to me, it also does feel somewhat distasteful to tout the game so highly when you have some of these persistent issues, including things like somebody could jump on a server a week ago, do all of this, and remain unbanned. While that's all going on and still not resolved, or even from 2 weeks prior, the other hack that allowed spawning in 3-star legendaries, and none of those have been deleted, I don't think it's really appropriate on the other hand to be posting articles touting how the game's reaching new heights. The game has improved, I don't think anyone really is denying that, or I don't think anyone should be denying that, but it also still has a lot of improvement to do. But either way, that is a recap from me, some of the latest Fallout 76 news. Although it certainly has been a negative string of things over the last quarter of 2019, hopefully going into the first quarter of 2020, things will start to look up. We know that Wastelanders is coming soon. Q1 2020 technically starts in just 3 days now. So technically it could drop in just 3 days. I don't think that's going to happen though. But major details as far as Wastelanders itself goes, but also things like a release date and even some more gameplay footage are likely on the way. And hopefully with all of this, we also get things like more ban waves for certain hackers and some of these players that just lost items getting them back. With all that being said, I thank you all again for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.